An effective worship leader lives the life of chasing after God.
Bruh, pastor, you got the best band in the country. Can't nobody on stage sing? The totality of that, to me, only comes to a C.
We say, oh, well, singers should be paid too. There's a whole lifestyle that goes along with that.
But if I go to your Apple playlist, the only gospel music you listen to is the music on your set list for Sunday. You don't love the culture. What's up, y'all? It's Germ.
And it's Joey.
And we are Kingdom Movement,
Movements.
back with another episode of Deeper Waters. The waves of the ocean.
And the Spirit of God hovered over the deep.
But you know what? I feel like singers should get paid in church.
Ooh. We might get in trouble with
You
this.
know what? I changed my mind. I feel like we should give our gifts freely and we should slave for the ministry and we should forget our families and we should forget our personal endeavors and we should give everything and give more. This is serving.
Now, who is that serving?
The devil. Sorry, no, I do think singers should be paid. It's something we don't talk about a lot in church, because it's it's funny. I said we were a long time ago. We were talking about singers getting paid on Facebook, and one of the old heads in the city was like, "Now everybody want to get paid. Everybody can't be paid." No, sir, you should not be paid. You know who you are. You shouldn't be paid. But if people are skilled and good and qualified for what they do, they deserve to be paid. Now,
Right.
I don't think all singers should be paid. Just like I don't think all musicians should be paid. But the ones who are qualified, the ones who are excellent at what they do, I do think that if we're going to change the dynamic of what's required of a worship leader, and we're not just saying sing songs, but we want you to, we got the stems and now we're creating stems in church. Now we're remembering sequences. Now we're on call. Now we're expected to know a lot more than the average singer used to know. They should be paid. And I think the pandemic changed a lot of things.
Yes.
So pre-pandemic, at least in a local realm, there wasn't so much emphasis put on the excellence. Well, there's two types of excellence. There's in the room excellence and there's over the stream excellence. And I feel like we should talk about it because at the end of the day, the person who sounded good in the room might not sound good on the stream. Okay, huh? And that moves into us dealing with worship leaders who are not equipped. They don't have the vocal ability. They don't have the endurance to last for a full set. They're not aware now that this is a production. And although we're letting the Spirit move and flow, there's still certain parameters to production. I think the parameters of what's needed for a worship leader changed. And we had to react as a ministry, as churches, as people who, wanted certain things. We had to change. That changed, which I think forever changes the dynamic of how you now look at the position.
Right. I think that there is a lot that changed that we don't always pay attention to, or we don't always account for. We notice, but we don't realize how one thing changes another.
Right.
And so, because, for instance, demographic change, church numbers of attendance has changed. Church attendance was so much higher a long time ago than it is now for a lot of our local churches. And so that does change things. And each church has to figure out what's manageable for them and steward it well. And if you can't afford specific things, then you may just have to reroute. do things different.
I don't want people, if you're a pastor and you're watching this, I don't want pastors to think that, everybody needs to be paid now. Oh, everybody got to be paid. Yeah. That's not what it comes down to. But sometimes I think pastors, churches don't understand that we as music ministers don't feel like there are fiscally responsible decisions being made. For an example, you got a band. You got a 5-piece band, 4-piece band. You pay all your musicians. You don't pay your worship leader. Why? And then at the end of the day, I'll talk to my musician brothers. If you're just going to get a check, that's fine. But at the end of the day, if your band is smacking, but your singers ain't nobody good, your music ministry can only at best be a C. You got the best band in the country. Can't nobody on stage sing. The totality of that, to me, only comes to a C. You can't get beyond a C if can't nobody on stage do their job too, to the same level as the people who are on the instruments.
Right. I think that what we require now is, and I say now because of just thinking about how church functions now compared to how it functioned before, because I think there is a lot of comparison.
Yeah.
So just naturally, I try to bring that out. There's a lot of skill that's required to do things the way that we desire to do them and the way that we see them done. For instance, on the live stream, we see a lot of successful, great looking live streams. And, of course, we want that for our churches, but it does take a level of skill, and you have to be ready and willing to either train your volunteers properly or hire somebody who does it professionally.
And everybody not trainable on everything, though. And
that's real.
Bruh Pastor, respectfully. Respectfully, this is to any leader, bruh Pastor. Respectfully, your members can't learn everything. I just gotta say, every position in church is not volunteer worthy. I'm gonna say it one more time. Every position, in church is not volunteer worthy. That's not saying we can't train people up, because we absolutely can and we should. However, trying to train you up to understand what they went to school for 2 years to learn is kind of insane if you think about it.
Yeah. Because, who's in leadership? I think a great leader has expertise and also can pull together a team. Everybody don't have both, but you have to be able to direct a team and give directives and be able to teach well and instruct well. But I think it comes down to leadership in specific areas. And if you don't have that, you can't expect somebody who does not do this professionally to work like somebody who does it professionally.
Right.
It just won't ever happen.
And another thing I hate is if you're gonna build an amazing team from your musicians to your sound techs to your vocalists, what you need to do is you need to ensure that everybody wants to run at the same pace. There's a lot of discontent in music ministries all across America because we're running at a different pace. And at the end of the day, if your church volunteers don't want to run at the pace of the professionals you hire, then that might not be the ministry for them, because there are so many ministries in church where you don't have to be professional.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to be a servant. And that's just that's my point of view of that. But there are some things that take a level of professionalism that is not limited to someone who loves their church and loves Jesus. Like, this is a technical position that there takes a certain level of skill to do this in excellence.
And I think that's why the gift of administration is so needed, and those with a strong gift of administration are needed in the local church, because everybody needs to be in their specific place. And everybody doesn't know how to figure out what their best place is, or how to necessarily run a specific ministry or auxiliary or whatever. And so you need gifts. You need people who are gifted to be able to tell people where to go, help people find their places, help call things out when something is out of order. Like if it needs to be great and it's average, but we can and should be doing so much better, then that's part of being out of order. You need somebody to help do that. And everybody grows. So it's like everybody has a place to grow from, but you got to have somebody with a administrative gift too, for sure, to help keep things in order.
Absolutely.
Helps keep the headache away.
Yeah.
Helps keep things running together and moving together. It's kind of like, it fits like a puzzle. Everybody can't be everywhere that you just want to be. You have to be able to fit in your place to make the picture come together.
And that's why I just feel like somebody's watching this and they're looking at us like, okay, y'all talking about the technical side, but aren't y'all missing a piece? And I'm like, no, we haven't forgotten that piece. That piece is important too, and it's your lifestyle. How does your lifestyle line up with the ministry?
Exactly.
You say you want to touch it. You know what bothers me so much? And some people don't attribute this to lifestyle, but people will take a check from a church. They'll play for a church. They'll take a check from a church. And you don't even like church or gospel music or Jesus. But if I go to your Apple playlist, if I go to your Spotify channel, the only gospel music you listen to is the music on your set list for Sunday.
And I think that kind of ties in with the aspect of being paid, right?
Yeah.
Because when we say, oh, well, singers should be paid too, there's a whole lifestyle that goes along with that. And there's time that's put in. And so just like we put time into our craft, an effective worship leader lives the life of chasing after God.
Yeah.
And so this is not to say that anybody got it all together or anybody has just arrived, but it's like, what is your motion? What is the pursuit? What are you constantly doing? Is God convicting you, and are you receiving his conviction and change? Are you yielding to that, or are you doing something else?
Can you play a gig Saturday night and then turn around in less than 8 hours and then lift up the name of Jesus? I'm asking. I'm not judging.
You tell
I'm
me.
not passing judgment. I'm just saying, like, from a heart position, from a posture, from a musical standpoint of music being worship.
Yeah.
Some people don't believe that. Some people don't believe that it is worship. Can you be effective in two places, 8 hours apart from each other? Like, can you carry that? What are you carrying? Is there dissension in your music ministry, or is there a lack of unity in your music ministry because what is happening outside of the Sunday realm? Like, we've become a culture where we can't talk about it, but like, can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Like, are you sleeping with your significant other and then getting up and leading worship? These are things we have to now talk about,
right? Because
because we've gotten away. The old church would bring that stuff up. The old church would ask you why you living with your significant other, like, you know, why you shacking, as Bertha Ruth would say.
Yes.
If Dietrich Hatton was here, he was like, shacking ain't in the Bible.
I think, you know, what's crazy? I think that in our education and in our new discoveries in this day and age, it's easy to evolve and change stuff. Evolving in and of itself is not bad, but where is the standard and why do you have it?
Yeah.
And if a standard drops below the standard of what makes you effective, then you have to question that. Anybody who's serving in ministry,
This is serving.
This is serving. Anybody who's a Christian needs to be holy.
Yeah.
But like when I say that, it's not like, oh, I gotta be perfect every day and I can't get mad and I can't fall short. You don't want to fall short, but we all fall short. But in that falling short, it's like, you know, what Pastor Donnie say?
We fall down, but we get up.
There it is. So you have to be ready to get back up and not stay there. And it's like, okay, you know, what is your lifestyle?
Yeah.
You know, holiness is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about chasing after God and letting him perfect you. And that's going to be uncomfortable sometimes, but if you want to be effective in ministry, you got to be willing to do that.
And as believers, we have to be honest about what our weaknesses are and what tempts us. Because if you struggle with alcohol, you probably shouldn't be at the party where they're serving free alcohol, or you probably shouldn't like even go to the open bar, because at the end of the day, you know you can't leave this event not drunk. So you know if you drink you know what's gonna happen. We know ourselves. We know the truth of who we are. Like there's certain things I won't do. Like I'm gonna keep it real. I had to stop going to buffets. Cause what does it profit a man to overeat at the buffet and to be a glutton? I'm working on it. But the reality of it is, if I know I struggle with overeating, the buffet is probably hell.
If your right hand offends you, cut that.
I cut the buffet off. No Golden Corral for me. No Chinese buffet for me.
That's real, but I don't think that we always want to be honest with ourselves, though.
Yeah.
All of us do not want to be honest with ourselves, but I think that hurts us when it comes time to live up to the standard, because we talk about holiness and we look at it as some unattainable thing. Well, yes, unattainable if you're trying to do it in and of yourself. But if you're honest with yourself and honest with God, God will literally help you. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know. We've had to grow. You know, people look at us and, you know, they say, whatever, we grew up in church, we don't do certain things. And I think there's this conception even about us, but we ain't perfect. We don't have everything together. We haven't always wanted to do the right thing in every situation, but we thank God for a space to be authentic and a culture and an atmosphere and environment that allowed us to be authentic and really be honest with God and tell God, you know, I'm going to serve you and I'm going to yield to you in all of my flaws and in all of my brokenness. And from that place, he changes us from the inside out. It's really a crazy deal.
Crazy for sure.